We are live. Welcome into the show, everybody. This is Jets,
Worldwide, wide.
aka the internet's fastest growing Jets YouTube content show there is. Johnny, tonight we have a very special guest on. You want to tell the people inside the chat who we have?
I don't know. I feel like you should let him know. I think this is we're excited to have him, and we're very grateful for him to be able to be on the show itself. He's myself and Snowball is one of our favorite journalists that's on the beat, right? That we really are looking forward to kind of pick his mind a little bit and ask him some questions in regards to how did this all happen? How did it become?
All right. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Jets journalist, reporter, Antwan Staley. Antwan, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be with you.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Little bit different of a show this evening. Usually we get right into Jets content. We talk about the things that are going on within the Jets universe. But tonight, since we have you on the show, I, for one, I'm familiar. I read your stuff, but I don't know who Antwan Staley is. Johnny, you know who Antwan Staley is?
He's some guy, I guess, that's on the Jets stuff that I see on TV on One Jets Drive, and he always got pretty cool hats on too. That I see as one he has right there on right now. I'm a hat guy,
Yeah,
so
I am too.
yeah. So I appreciate that. And I got a lot of respect for it. So hat game always on point. Shout you
Uh,
out.
but I figured we would be able to get to know Antwan Staley, the person, as opposed to Antwan Staley, the Jets information source. I think it would be interesting for people to actually know who Antwan Staley is. Later on, we might get into some Jets content, but for now, Antwan, I think what I'd like to get into first is an origin, basically, where you were born, where you grew up. Schooling that you had, what did you study? So let's just go into where are you from?
Originally from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I grew up there, born and raised, and went to school I went to college a few places actually. I have a master's degree, also have a PhD too as well. So I have went to school at East Carolina University for my undergrad, and then also have degrees from Florida and Syracuse as well. And from once I got out of college, undergrad, I just started kind of moving around a little bit, just getting into the journalism business. So that's kind of how it all started, and basically started covering. You did baseball at first, and then kind of gravitated towards football. So and kind of been there for the most part ever since. Although I've kind of done like some college stuff too as well, and
Cool.
hockey as well. I also covered hockey for a bit too.
Wow.
Ooh,
So
really?
Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You said Eastern
East Carolina, East Carolina,
Carolina. And,
Pirates, right?
yeah, East Carolina Pirates, yeah.
and what did you major in?
Journalism,
So you were a journalism major
yeah.
for both colleges,
All three of them, but yeah,
all three colleges.
like communication journalism. Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Could you describe what kind of a student you were?
I mean, I got like A's and B's, so I guess I was a good one. So
The reason why I'm asking, I'm a teacher, so
yeah.
I like to see where people come from, and I guess we should be calling you Dr. Staley.
I mean, you could, yeah, but
Okay,
I don't necessarily require that.
I will call you Doc from now on.
I'm calling you Doc for now on. I think that'll
Yeah,
be a Just for White exclusive.
that's it, Doc Staley.
Doc
Okay,
Staley.
whatever y'all want to do, yeah, that's fine with me.
All right, listen, you earned it, so you get to be called Doc Staley. So that's the education part of it. How about like first employments?
I did a internship with the Boston Globe in college, and then that's how I got my first job. Basically, just doing all different types of sports for the Globe, but a lot of it was just baseball centric. So I actually, got to know a little bit of the Red Sox there. I was like the third or fourth, reporter, covering the Red Sox, kind of helping out. So yeah, that was kind of fun, and getting to know a lot of the players, especially back then where they had a lot of characters on the team, especially Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz,
Ooh.
players like that too. So it was actually fun doing that coming out of college.
So do you form a relationship with the players?
I mean, you do over time, yeah. I mean, depending on like, just how you move and, whether they feel comfortable with you, they can, yeah.
So how would you say you gain their trust?
I think part of it's just, them knowing, just seeing my writing style, and just knowing I don't take personal shots, but I think also just, just going in the locker room every day, just striking up, random conversations. It may not always have to do with baseball. It might have something to do with, just, things that they're talking about, or interests, or things of that nature too. And I do the same thing, now, covering the Jets and all the other stuff that I've done. But yeah, it's just basically just trying to figure out, common ground between you and somebody else. That way they feel comfortable. Then when you do have to ask about tough questions, then they kind of respect it and you have that rapport with them.
Gotcha. John, did you have a question?
Yeah, so going a little bit back when you started, right? So I know that you're a Red Sox fan. Is that the reason you became a Sox fan,
I
or
wasn't originally I was originally an Orioles fan. So yeah, like I
okay?
still kind of love for, especially growing up, Cal Ripken and Eddie Murray and those guys too. So I still have love for them. But yeah, just getting to know the Sox and the people in the organization. Yeah, I mean, then I grew up in a state that really didn't have a baseball team, so that also kind of factors in.
Same. I live in Virginia, and the Tides are the closest thing to a team over here. I'm very familiar with the Winston-Salem area as well. So let me ask you this: when you went right into your internship, and you kind of named some big players, Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, and these guys. For myself, I would have been starstruck. I would have been able to know what to say or how to even talk in regards to them. Have you ever been kind of like starstruck? And if so, who was that individual? It being your first time interviewing them, and how did that go?
I mean, probably like a handful of people. Like I actually been starstruck. I mean, I just saw Serena Williams at the owners meeting, so that was kind of a bit surreal. Although I didn't interview her, but still, just seeing her, walking around with Roger Goodell and some of the other people, like, wow, that's Serena. Like, it was just kind of random. So yeah, I remember doing interviews with like Dan Marino. Like the first time I met him when I was covering the Dolphins, like that was kind of surreal. But you just do the interview. That's basically how it is. I mean, you're still there to do a job. I mean, that's not doesn't mean that you can't just like, oh crap, like that's such and such person. But at the end of the day, then yeah, you're still working, you're still doing the job, and that's kind of what I just continue to focus on when I'm in those moments.
So let so to piggyback off of that, and you kind of touched a little bit in regards to it, but so let's just say I'm somebody super young and I want to get into becoming a journalist, right? Do you have any pointers that you would be able to give to me to say, hey, this is what you need to do coming out of or starting in high school and then working your way into an internship, maybe out of high school into college, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I didn't when I went to high school, like I didn't know this is what I wanted to do. It wasn't until I got to college and I didn't even know then necessarily. I just because nobody's done this where I grew up. So it was just kind of like, blind faith that, yeah, I like writing, I like sports. I also like played golf a little bit in college too. I walked on to the golf team. So that was but I knew I wasn't gonna be like Tiger Woods or anything like that. I knew eventually like, I'm gonna have to find a, job is something that I like as far as long term. So basically, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's one set way in terms of, a certain path. I would just say to people, like, as far as internships, make sure you do a few of them, at least in college. That way people get to know how you work and who you are. And that way, they're more inclined to hire you in that way once they get to know you. So I would definitely recommend that, and just have flexibility too. Like, don't be afraid to sometimes you have to start at the bottom. Like you may have to go somewhere and start at a place like, the middle of Idaho or whatever the case may be. But, I find that some people don't necessarily want to do that nowadays. They just want to start, at the top or some big city, but it's a lot of competition. So sometimes you just have to, start at a certain level and just continue to work your way up to the point where, you are at in a good spot. And I'm still working my way up too. So even at this age, so I'm not necessarily where I want to be ultimately, but I'm definitely getting there.
So you said that you were with the Boston Globe,
Hmm.
and then after the Boston Globe, what happened after that?
Well, I got laid off, and then after that, I went to grad school. And did that for a little while. And yeah, we'll be here all night talking about my journey. But
Well, that's what
but
we're here for.
yeah, but yeah, basically, short story, like went to grad school, and then did something. I got out of the profession for a little bit because I couldn't find a job, and then eventually, I ended up moving down to South Florida. And 2012, that's when I started covering the Dolphins.
Okay, so covering the Dolphins for who?
Like for a few publications. One Club Player Insiders, another one the Palm Beach Post, and then USA Today.
So how does one get those positions in those publications? Like with like
I didn't do the hiring, so I don't know. But
okay, so I mean, but do you look in the newspaper? Is it on like web crawler? Is it like on some hiring stuff from? Do you have an agent? Does someone help you? Like, do
no,
you have a
no.
recruiter?
I mean, you can it depends on the job. Like some jobs are different. Some jobs have headhunters. Some of them don't. Like the job was presented to me. Like somebody came to me and asked me would I be interested in it. So that's kind of how I got it really. And then from there, like I said, I just kept covering the Dolphins. And then eventually the USA Today thing popped up, and it was kind of the same thing. They had an opening. They asked would I be interested, and ended up getting the job.
Okay, so that was you said Florida Post,
No, Palm Beach Post. It was Palm Beach Post.
Palm Beach Post,
Pro Player Insiders, Palm Beach Post, USA Today.
and USA Today.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
And
covering
also, and also did like a little bit of Miami Hurricanes and also Florida Marlins and Florida Panthers for them too as well.
Cool. So you're covering all of these teams down in Florida.
Not at one time, but just throughout, during different periods.
Okay. So can you let us know like what time period are we talking about when you're covering Florida sports?
Well, from 2012 to 2019.
Okay, 2012 to 2019. So any memorable like sports coverage events during that time period?
Nothing significant. Nah, not at all. Not I could think of, because there was a lot of bad teams. I mean, the teams were kind of bad for the most part. The Dolphins made the playoffs in 2016. I think the Florida Panthers made it in 15 or 16. It might have been 16 when they made it too. But outside of that, it wasn't nothing significant. I didn't cover. Had I covered the Miami Heat, it might have been, but I didn't do the NBA.
So this is kind of like training for covering the Jets eventually.
I mean, if you want to call it that too, yeah.
So how does that affect the psyche of a journalist when you're covering teams that aren't in the spotlight?
You mean they aren't very good?
In other words, yes.
I mean, it doesn't really affect me. I mean, you go do the job. Like I'm a professional, so I'm not gonna, deviate off of that just because they're a bad team or whatever. No, I still, you got to keep in mind a job needs to be done, and I think people want to know kind of why teams aren't as good as what they are. So that's basically what you kind of have to keep in mind. But
Does that
per se, it really doesn't affect me.
Does that make the job more difficult though? Does that make the job more difficult?
No, not really. I mean, if anything, you just know your season's gonna be over in early January. That's about it. It doesn't really make it that much harder. I think winning would probably make it more fun, if anything. But it is what it is.
John, do you have anything?
Yeah, so I wanted to touch a little bit about the different sports you covered. So you said hockey, you said baseball, and now football. Those locker rooms are completely all different. When you were in those locker rooms, what did you notice that you thought was so different from each individual sport?
I think baseball and hockey are a little bit more. The players are a little bit more personal. I think especially hockey. I think they want the coverage. I think with NFL. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's the biggest sport in the country, so I think the players. I want to say don't feel like the reporters always need to be in there, but they can be a little bit more snobby at times. But for the most part, like I've been in good locker rooms, so that's never really a big problem. But yeah, hockey players, like, you can go up to them at any time and get any kind of story, and they enjoy it. Baseball is kind of the same thing. I think the only thing with baseball is just like you're constantly writing and constantly doing stuff too. Hockey was a little bit like that, but baseball, you're definitely doing like at least 3 stories a day, basically. So like, you do the clubhouse, you get an interview with the manager, it's batting practice, and then on top of that, then the actual game. So, and it was 162 games. You may not always be working the 162, all 162, but it's still a lot. Still a lot of content.
So I did. So this is kind of touch base on everything, and this is brought to by one of our fans on here. He's asking best player you've ever covered in any of the sports that we just mentioned.
Probably Jaromir Jagr. If I had to pick Jagr, or I briefly, like, I did some stuff on Ichiro when he was a Marlin. So I don't know, a lot of people don't remember that, but yeah, he was down there for a little bit with the Marlins. So that was pretty fun. But those would be the top 2 players that at least I can think of.
Yeah, I would have been either or. I just would have been trying to, especially with Ichiro, because I love baseball, man. Like, baseball is such a great sport, and
Yeah.
I'm loving what they're doing right now. I'm still one of the guys that I wish they got rid of the pitch count, right? That's counting down. Just give the guys the time, let them rock. I know it's making the game a lot quicker, right? But for me, I've always enjoyed that. Snowball?
I was going to ask if there was ever an altercation between you and a player. Like, did anyone ever get heated with you?
I mean, I've happened a few times. Yeah, I don't want to say the guy's name, but
I wasn't going to ask you to names or anything.
A couple of times.
Yeah, but I just wanted to know if you ever got heated.
It happened with the Jets. Not this past season, but the year before that. Even though it wasn't like that heat of a stage, like we were going blows, but it was. I had said, I'll tell you the game. So they played the Giants in 23, and they had it seemed like they were about to win. Especially, it was a 4th down play. It seemed like the Giants could have went for it instead of they kicked the field goal, and and Zach Wilson and company ended up coming back and winning that game. And
yes.
I kind of phrased the question like, well, it looked like you were about to lose there, and then he didn't necessarily enjoy that framing of the question. So that didn't necessarily go very well.
I understand. Actually, we had a question from Paul Esden Jr. is in the chat. He's joining late, but he just wanted to know something about Sauce and Garrett getting paid this offseason. What's your gut?
I mean, I think it's going to happen at some point. I just think that, it hasn't been – you have to understand this is a new regime, so it's not their top priority. Their top priority is to, field as good of a team as possible and then get to the draft. And I think after the draft, I think they'll, deal with that later. But, yeah, I think it's a priority. I just don't think it's the top priority at the moment.
Okay. Johnny, you got – I have like 1,000 questions, but –
yeah, keep going, because – he set it up. I'm enjoying this, to be able to have him say Ichiro up here. I was not expecting that, and that's so awesome. And the way you started to where you're at right now, it's amazing, man. I've been through Winston-Salem and everything, and because I've worked up there, and it's what's that? It starts with the F. It's a restaurant that's like right there that all the college kids go to. It's not there anymore. But I remember that's the place that we would hit.
I have to think hard about this then.
Rutgers?
No.
I mean, they do have a Fuddruckers that what they used to anyway, but no, I know that's not it. I can't even think now. I'll probably think about it later on tonight or something like that.
It's gonna hit you at like 2 a.m.
Probably will.
You're like, oh damn, that's what he was talking about.
Exactly.
I'm in North Carolina twice a year, by the way. I'm down there. I visit my daughter. She's at High Point University, so
yeah, that's close to where I grew up.
So yeah, I'm down there twice a year.
My sister went there briefly for a little bit until it got like super expensive.
Yeah. Thank God for scholarships.
Yeah, it's a nice campus though. It's a lovely campus, but yeah, it's super expensive.
That's what everybody says. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a beautiful campus." No one ever talks about the academics, but it's a beautiful campus, and they have killer academics. They do have
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah, they have a really good journalism section, good education, good entrepreneurship. So yeah, it's a great place to go to
Yeah,
school.
that wasn't further away from home for me. Like I actually wanted to go further, and then something happened medical wise. My grandmother had a heart attack, so I ended up staying at state for
Gotcha.
college because of that. Otherwise, I probably would have been at University of Alabama.
Oh, roll tide.
Roll
Yeah,
Tide, right?
Hey, I'm a
Um,
Bulldog fan. That's my squad, man.
uh, other questions. You were just down in West Palm Beach for the
yeah.
owners meetings. So before you go down there, how do you prepare for the owners meetings? What kind of stuff do you how do you formulate all the questions that you think you're going to go down there and ask? Like what is it that you use?
Sometimes I don't necessarily formulate any kind of. Sometimes I just let it happen natural. I mean, it's some talking points that you know definitely want to address there. Whether you talk about contract extension, Justin Fields, stuff like that too. But sometimes you just want to listen to what they have to say and then form questions off of that. Because I think sometimes when you go into an interview and you have like, okay, you have all these like 10 or 12 questions that you want to ask, you may not always, listen to what the person that you're interviewing has to say. You might miss something. So yeah, it's good to have talking points, but also like you don't want to go in just having, 15 questions and you're not listening to exactly what that person is saying.
Of course, I understand. Uh, so do you go down with an agenda? Like, do you know who you're going to speak to when you go down there?
Well, we don't have a choice. Like they just give us, we just talk to whoever they give us to. Like
Mm.
we do. Like we didn't know we were going to speak to Woody, but we knew Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji was talk at some point. So
Okay, so in relation to Aaron Glenn, um, what do you think of Aaron Glenn?
I mean, we only spoken to him 3 times, but very guarded person. Like that's to be expected, especially Bill Parcells' disciple. Uh, Very straightforward. Actually spoke. Well, I think Rich Tremedy for ESPN actually asked Dan Campbell about Aaron Glenn too, and this he gave a great answer. Somebody that he feels like he's going to turn things around too, and I don't necessarily know the answer whether he's going to do that or not, but it seems like he's handling things in a much different way than previous regimes there. We'll have to see if it all works out. But, he's definitely a guy that, wants to move in a quieter, direction compared to the previous regime there. And it doesn't necessarily want a lot of outside noise, So yeah, you could definitely already see that with just some of the moves that they've made, throughout the course of the off season and just the way they've carried themselves this off season.
What is your vibe about Aaron Glenn with the media?
I
Like,
mean, it doesn't bother me. I know some people might take it personally. I mean, hell, like I asked about Jamin Sherwood, and then he didn't necessarily. I kept asking him about just what was it about him specifically, and then he just basically said if we didn't think much of him, then we wouldn't have re-signed him. So I was like, okay, that's your answer, then that's totally fine. Like I
oh,
don't,
that was your question.
yeah.
So
Like I'm
when I
not
was
gonna.
listening to the interview and he was like, if we didn't think he was going to fit in, we wouldn't have resigned him.
Yeah, I didn't take it personally. I think people around me were like, "Well, he was just very stern with you." I was like, it
No,
is what it is. Like
at the end of he like laughed it off at the end.
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I didn't think much of it. I actually saw him later on that night, and then I nodded at him. So yeah, we're fine. Like, it's not. I didn't really think much of it. It's just who he is. That's just the type
Right.
of person he is. I mean, it's totally fine.
Okay, Johnny, any questions?
Yeah, so I have a few questions
Sure.
that we're getting actually through. So I asked the fans on the chat if they had any questions to ask you, right? So and we have some fun ones. This is coming from Dano. Who would be the arm wrestling champion out of all the New York Jet beat? Which reporter is the most concerned about their hair?
Hair definitely be Connor. He's one of the few people that actually has hair, I think, on the beat. So that's actually so him and Al, I think, and Janae has hair because she's a woman. But other than that, uh, as far as arm wrestling, I don't know. Like maybe me, I don't know.
I
Like
think you got it, man, all day,
I don't
every
know.
day.
I don't know. Like I'm not really big in arm wrestling, but I guess I'll take myself. But I don't know.
And then now going into having some fun, right? From Boy Green, who has the best hat on the show currently?
Oh man,
Because I know you're a hat guy like I am. So
I'll let y'all choose that. Yeah.
I like his whalers hat.
yeah, that hat is. And look, and I love my Mets, man. This is right here, Mets and everything. But the hat's pretty. The Whalers is pretty cool. It's pretty dope. So
But thank you.
like that as
I
well.
definitely have a lot of unique hats for sure.
So then we have another couple questions right here as well from Paganardi. Are you a weapon first guy? And I'm talking in regards about the draft itself.
Hold on, what are we talking about now? Like weapons, like hold on, like I just want to be clear what we talk about.
So
I'm not talking
this,
about arms. No.
yeah. He's talking about. Are you wanting to get an offensive weapon in the draft for the Jets? Is that where you think they should go, or trade back scenario? Where are you at with this currently?
I think you got to build within the trenches. So like I would take the offensive lineman. So I would take Mimbu from Missouri. Like, I mean, if you've seen this tape, man, this dude, I know it's a boring pick. I know, I get it. Like, I know they took old fashioned dude from Penn State last year, but it's a glaring hole there. And to get a guy like Mimbu on that side too, that could just, lock down the trenches there, I think it would be huge just for the Jets, especially considering I think they're going to lean a lot more on their running game this year, especially having a guy like Justin Fields there. Of course, Breece Hall in the backfield too. If you listen to what Aaron Glenn had to say at the owners meeting there, they feel like they have three really good running backs they can rely on. So, I mean, that takes a lot of pressure off the passing game. So I definitely think you're going to see a lot of RPOs, stuff like that. And, to have a guy like Denbu there, to lock up your trenches, like but your bookend tackles on both sides, I think it'd be huge. So I would wait to like round 2 to start, going after weapons there. They definitely need a tight end. They could use some wide receiver help. Defensive tackle, I still think is a big need too as well. So they definitely have a lot of holes to fill in this particular draft.
So if they draft Membu, what do they do with Okoro for? Is that a competition? Do you start Okoro for and then bring Membu in, or what do you do?
I think it's probably Mimbu's job to lose. Like, I don't think they have a starter at right tackle. I mean, I think possibly they have a lot of guys that could be the starter, but I think Mimbu is the answer at right tackle.
Okay, interesting. Johnny?
Oh, Afram just asked a question. Do you think that there's anyone on the roster that won't buy into what AG is preaching?
Well, they're not there anymore. So those guys were there, like they're definitely not there. So yeah, I think your people are all in there. I talked to a few players at the Super Bowl, Jermaine Johnson and Quincy Williams, and it seems like they were very excited, to get Aaron Glenn on board. So I think a lot of players feel that way. I hadn't necessarily spoken to all the players, but the ones that I have spoken to, like they're really excited about getting Glenn.
Just so JJ, you talked a little bit about him. When you saw him at the Super Bowl, how did he look? Could you tell any significant limp or anything in regards to that? Or he's looked, because I mean, from what I've seen that he's been putting out, he looks like he's wanting to fire at all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him at the end of the year too. So I mean, he looks fine. I mean, obviously he's still rehabbing, not 100% there, but I think the expectations for him is he'll be ready for training camp. So I think that'll be really big there. How he'll play, we don't necessarily know because sometimes coming off Achilles injuries, players can start a little bit slow there, especially getting their feet back and everything. But he's somebody I definitely wouldn't doubt. Especially the hard he works in the weight room and the things that he does off the field there. The Jets definitely have an interesting decision to make on him at the 5th-year option. I imagine they pick up Sauce and Garrett's, but his is a little bit more complicated compared to the other two.
So then let me ask this. You kind of touched a little bit on Justin Fields a little bit earlier. What are your thoughts on him when you saw the Jets signed him and they got him?
I actually thought it was a good idea. I was kind of floating it out there, stuff that I heard like before the season had ended. I was like, I didn't think Aaron Rodgers was going to come back. And you look at just some of the free agent options out there. I feel like he made the most sense too, especially considering Aaron Glenn was coming in. Because, now again, like I think the Jets offensive line, it's been a big talking point the last couple of years, but I feel like they were a solid unit last year. I don't feel like they were the best in the NFL, but they certainly wasn't bad. Like at all. I feel like it was a bit of an average to above average unit. And then to get a guy like that, dude, who can, use his legs to create a lot of explosive plays and also create some off-platform throws potentially there, and also has that chemistry with Garrett Wilson date back to their days at Ohio State. I definitely think it's really big there. So yeah, I thought I got to put 2 and 2 together, and I thought that would be a really good move for the Jets there, at least for a year. You can see if it works for a year. If it doesn't, then you're in a quarterback sweepstakes next year and a much better draft. If it does work, then he's still 26, 27 years old. Then you may have your quarterback for the future.
You think we're going to get a resurrection of Jeremy Ruckert, or?
We'll have to see on that.
Okay.
Well, we could hope. Hey, Snowball, ask him the questions now in regards of the wings, the music.
We got him for a half an hour. He's done a half an hour. Can you do a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I can do a few more minutes. Yeah.
All right. So, well, actually, I wanted to ask something Jets related with
Okay.
Go ahead.
The feeling inside the building now. Have you been in one Jets Drive?
We hadn't been in the building since the introductory press conference with Aaron Glenn. So
okay, so
yeah, we hadn't had a reason to.
Is there a feeling inside the building different from the previous regime?
I mean, we'll have to see who's available. I don't know who's going to be working for the company. Like,
they're cleaning house now, right?
Yeah, they ended up having 170 people or employees had the option to take buyouts. So I mean, you could tell, like, without being in the building, you could tell things have kind of changed. Especially, this is the Aaron Glenn show, and then they're kind of following his lead there. So you can kind of tell things are a bit different than what it used to be, for sure.
All right. We're going to end on these two points. Your profile on social media says that you are a music connoisseur. So we want to know what kind of music Doc Staley listens to.
I mean, I listen to everything. I'm a big country guy, but everything. Yeah, I listen to just about everything. Well, big hip hop guy, but yeah, I listen to rock music, especially old school rock, 70s, 80s, even like grunge era rock music. But yeah, I listen to anything, just about.
Okay, like
George Strait or Alan Jackson?
I told you I'm not a big country guy, so I have no idea.
All right,
so never mind.
I know who those guys are, but I couldn't tell you a song they've done.
So Nirvana or Soundgarden?
Oh, that's tough. I guess it depends on the mood. Probably lean towards Soundgarden, but I love them both.
Okay, and it also says that you are a wing slut. So
yes.
Wing flavor. What are you going for?
It just I don't have one particular flavor that I like. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Sometimes it might be just hot. Sometimes it might be something just outlandish. It also depends on the restaurant that you're at too.
Okay.
Like when I go to Buffalo, I like the the Cajun hot honey butter wings that Josh Allen loves from Bar Bill. I love those. So those always do really well.
So what's your spot in Buffalo?
Bar Bill for sure. I took every time we go there, the whole Jets beach wants to go there. So that's usually our spot, because they wanted to go to Dust before that, and then I took everybody to Bar Bill, and that's the only place they want to go now. Very
cool. Johnny, you have any questions before we let Doc Staley go?
Yep. So let me ask. So what era of hip hop?
I like all the eras, but 90s, 80s, even now, I like hip hop today. I know a lot of people criticize it today, but there's still some good artists out there. It's just may not be necessary that everything gets played on the radio.
All right, so I'm gonna ask this real tough one for you right here: Jadakiss or Jay-Z?
You got to go Jay-Z, as far as career wise. But I love Jadakiss. Jadakiss is one of my favorites for sure. But yeah, you got to give Jay-Z. You got to give it to Jay-Z though. He's one of the top 2 or 3 rappers ever for sure.
Top 5 dead or alive, as he says constantly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Last question for me. Then I have to ask this now. Top 5 rappers of all time for you.
So for me, it'd probably be Nas, Jay-Z, Tupac, Notorious B.I.G., and then I'll throw a wild card in there. Probably I would go Scarface. I think Scarface is very underrated. So yeah, I'll throw him at number 5.
Oh, I love that.
For me, I think that's the perfect way to end this interview. I want to thank Dr. Antwan Staley for joining us on Jets Worldwide this evening. New York's top journalist for the New York Daily News.
The strongest
The strongest.
on the beat, all right? Just let everybody know that.
So I'll relay that message next time I see him at the draft for sure.
I will definitely see you at training camp this summer. Anything you want to drop into for the chat to know about you? Anything coming up? Anything you want to promote?
Well, Monday we'll have it's the start of the Jets all-season program, so we'll have a preview regarding that. So you can check that out on Monday morning, either at my Twitter account Antwan Staley or at nydailynews.com.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Staley.
Dr. Staley.
I will refer to you as Doctor from now on.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, but hey, right. I appreciate y'all take it easy.
Very good.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
See y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Doc Staley.
Doc Staley. How awesome was that? How awesome was that? I had no clue. I had no idea he started off from baseball, then moved into hockey and then football and everything. And they played golf.
Yeah.
At that as well, and he's being super, super, super like humble when he's talking about I was a walk-on at ECU. I know for a fact that ECU has one of the best golf clubs in the entire collegiate universe. It's so
Antwan Staley versus Aaron Rodgers. Golf. Who wins? I think Staley takes him.
I think Doc has him. I think Doc has him really well.
For sure.
But this was awesome. We're gonna put the link up really quickly to get some guys to see what they thought, questions in regards that they have for us. I know there's been a lot of content that's just come out within the Jets currently right now, and just chop it up for a little bit and see what you guys thought of the interview with the Doc himself.
Yeah. You want me to put the link in or what?
Yeah. Stop it in there.
I'm going to do that.
What was your favorite part of the interview?
I'm always I'm an origins type of guy. I really like I like to hear about where people come from. So I like to see where people grew up, what they study, where they go to college, things like that. That's all very interesting to me. So I think that was one of my favorite parts. How about you?
Yeah, I really like the Ichiro part of it itself. And I mean, talking about I was not expecting that at all. I thought he would have said Cal Ripken. I mean, he grew up, he liked the Orioles, right? I mean, it's the truth because out in Carolina, there's really no professional team like that until possibly the Panthers, and then I think with the Hornets, but that's in Charlotte and when that's super far away from Winston and all that. So which was nice. I really enjoyed it, man. He's somebody that I do pretty much listen to, read his articles when he does put his articles up on his different social media handles that he has out there. So it was intriguing to have him. And I mean, all the stuff that the 3 different degrees that he has too as well.
Right.
So yeah, I got a PhD,
Yeah.
Let
me just throw that out there.
I just did it, right. As if that was
to write a dissertation and then defend your dissertation, all while hopping around from this publication to that publication, moving states, going to Boston, all these different places in Florida, and to pull that off and just to come on and be like, oh yeah, I did that. He's, like you said, he's being very humble.
Very humble, very humble. So, which was and ask him to come on the show, and he did. Which was really cool, and everything.
Amazing, because I mean, who knows Jets Worldwide from a hole in the wall? Like Antwan Staley, right? Journalist for the New York Daily News, comes on to our little show. That's a guy.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And hope to get him back on again, and especially during the season, and kind of see, you know, what he's thinking in regards to everything. But he gave a lot of nuggets too,
Right.
in regards to what was going on.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially with Aaron Glenn. Right. He's got his number.
yeah. So I was surprised when he said that Aaron Glenn is somebody that's really guarded. You
Yeah,
know,
he doesn't
which
strike me as a guarded
yeah,
person.
I would have never thought that. And he was like, no, he's a really guarded individual.
Yeah.
Which that thinking about it now makes sense to me, you know. So
Right. If anybody in the chat wants to pop in and discuss, feel free. The link is posted. Also want to remind people to like this video and yeah, give it the old thumbs up and definitely like subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See a lot of people in the chat. Just want to acknowledge some people, you know, who have been here since. Well, wow, we are far behind in the comments, but like Afram, Leany, Connor, Florida Phil, Peg and Artie are here. Boomtown's here. Dane. Who else do we have here? We got
Thunder,
Chef Kev.
Chef Kev, Thunderlips is in the building.
Clancy is here, of course. You know, we put comments in from Dane and Paul. Dan Murphy's here. Clancy. So a lot of people who are watching. JT, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate him.
Right.
Hey, how about the question though from Peg and Artie that threw Doc Staley off? You know, I didn't even think about it, just asking it in regards to it. What's going on, Jersey Jet? Talking about, is Antwan a weapon first guy?
Yeah, is he a weapon first guy? And he was like, whoa, hold on a second. That's crazy that he thought that he was talking about weapons, but
it's a good question from Boom right here.
Johnny, what do you attribute how lucky the Mets got today, and why do you feel the Blue Jays are a better team? I'll hang up and listen.
It's a good question. I honestly think it's because Vlad Jr., right, is thinking about leaving Toronto to possibly go to a team that plays in Queens. So it'll be intriguing to see how that's going to factor on other players that potentially might not stay with the Blue Jays next year. So I don't know, Boom. That's a really good question. I think there was something in the air today that attribute to the Mets beating the Blue Jays. I mean, they beat Toronto 5-0, I believe, today, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a saying in sports. I believe it's I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes you just get lucky sometimes, you know?
Yeah. The wind blows a certain way, and here we are. Genergy was in the building. I saw that. Leany was in here as well. So
yeah. Oh, what's his response? I think you're right. He would look good in Yankees or Dodgers uniforms.
I mean, can the Dodgers pay him? That's the question, because they're gonna defer everything till 2078.
The Yankees and the Dodgers, last time I checked, they don't play in Queens. So
very true.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to tell people that you're going to be in New York?
Yes. I'm actually going to be in New York next week. So looking forward to seeing some individuals that are going to be in the area. Clancy.
We're taking Johnny Boy into the city. So
be scared.
It's not going to be, no one's going to be safe on the street. So we're going to take him in. We're headed down to, I guess, like the West Side. We'll hang out for a little bit. We're going to meet up with some people. But if anyone is in the area and willing to join, hit us up on Discord. If you're in the Discord, hit us up, and we would love to hang out with some people. Let's get a crowd ready for Johnny Boy as he comes in next Friday.
Yep. I'll probably be wearing some Mets stuff just to make Clancy happy. You know, I know he loves when I wear all my Mets gear and whatnot. But Snowball, so I haven't really, I know you and I've been slammed with work. I know you've been slammed with work as well, with everything you got going on.
Right.
But so the owners meeting,
Yeah.
right? And we had Muji talk, and a lot of people do not like what he's been talking about. And it's because he's so robotic in regards to what he sounds. What's your thoughts about that? Like, what do you think of that?
Yeah. So he's young. He's coming from Denver. This is the New York market, and we don't take kindly to robotic Westerners. So, we want people like Aaron Glenn. Like, I think Aaron Glenn fits our vibe more than Muji does. He's going to toe the company line. He's going to be the general manager who's the sidekick to the head coach, as Woody Johnson said it, right? Didn't he say that Muji is Aaron Glenn's sidekick? I thought that was cute when he was like, oh, he's a sidekick. So he is robotic because I think they put him on high alert with the New York media. Say it this way, don't deviate, straight and narrow, don't take the bait, and just say what you got to say and get out. So I like the way he operates. He's Mr. Corporate, and he's going to just do what he can do. You know what I'm going to say? Anytime we get a new head coach and general manager, I always try to envision them both standing on the podium holding up the Lombardi trophy. And I'm like, how are Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji going to look holding up the Lombardi trophy with all the confetti coming down? I'm like, yeah, it's going to be like, right? Exactly. So I'm like, how are they going to look? Well, that's probably years from now, but hopefully they stick around and we have a winning culture. What about you?
I liked it. I loved it. I thought we're coming from, I don't know if a lot of people might have forgotten, but you guys remember the last ownership meeting they had, and JD was tanked up there, and he was letting go about Aaron Rodgers when he was, with Boomer and the whole nine up there, right? So like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that because essentially you're a GM, you're the guy that everybody's like, he needs to be, straight edge, not straight edge, but needs to be on point with everything. And I think Muji is giving the answers right to your face and is telling you he's not going to give you more, but he's not going to give you a little bit. He's going to give you just enough so you could be like, okay, he answered a question. And I like that. He's not beating around the stuff. I like a lot of the moves that he's done so far. I've liked them. They're not putting us in positions where we're going to be hurting ourselves for the future. And just like what Phil is saying right here and right now.
Yeah. He's a grown up.
Adults are in charge, and it's cool.
It's a different feeling.
100%. It's like he's running it as a business.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be ran as this, and I got the guy that could give the rah-rah that's needed for the New York market to be like, oh, okay, yes, that's exactly, because I mean, AG gives that to us. He says all the right things. I mean, from the very first presser, when he brought up that Denver game,
yeah,
dude, that is exactly the reason why I do not like the Broncos at all. It's because of that game itself. So
yeah, I wasn't I wasn't a fan of either head coach or general manager when they first were hired, but they're growing on me slowly. They still have to prove that they can win games, but from what they're saying in the media, it sounds as though they have a plan. They're basically filling areas of need with people who are durable. I think they might not be the best players, but at least they are durable. So I'll take it at that. And if that's anything, I mean, we've had high hopes about. I mean, your guy Chuck Clark, like we are a magnet for bad luck. Chuck
Correct.
Clark, a guy who was an Iron Man, never injured, comes to the Jets, doesn't even get to see the season. Like last day of training camp, gets injured, and like that hindered him for like his entire tenure with us. Um, Tyron Smith, right? Like injured. Who was the other guy who was the left tackle?
Tyron Smith,
No. Before him,
uh, Lincoln Tomlinson,
no, he was the guard.
Dwayne Brown.
Dwayne Brown, right?
Yeah,
Dwayne
Dwayne
Brown,
Brown.
right? Injury after injury. So I like the way they're building it. Youth movement. Guys are a little more durable. They're not on superstars. I guess that's Glenn's prerogative, right? Like no superstar players. These just seemed like solid hires that like there's low risk. If they tank, if they don't do well, they weren't expected to do a lot in the beginning anyway. Johnny looks like the Cleveland Indians logo. The hell is that?
I don't know what that means.
Welcome in, Mo.
Yeah, welcome in, Mo, for real. So Clancy's one of those fans right here that doesn't like a lot of the picks.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's entitled to his opinion.
Sure.
I mean, he is, because I mean, at the same time, they haven't won anything yet. He doesn't know. For all we know, this could be bad. But I have to say, I'm very optimistic in regards to the moves that they've done. I like them. I personally like them. I love the Nandi pick. There's huge upside to the potential of Arkafor, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah.
Okorafor, right? Because that was somebody that I believe the year before we had Moses or whatever, we wanted him to come on over here. That was a guy that we were trying to get from the Steelers itself.
Right. Yeah.
So again, to me, they have gotten picks that are not the sexy picks because they're not. Andre Sisco. Who is Andre Sisco? Stevens. Who is Stevens?
Right.
Right. There's a lot of unknown guys that are out there, but the upside, and if the coaching is as good as they are saying to us, they're going to coach you guys up, and they could look like geniuses. And why the hell not for once let it be the Jets that we hit on these guys?
Right. It should be. Like I think back to like the Legion of Boom with the Seahawks, right? All those like undrafted free agents that they brought in who just like hit and did well. So why can't it be the Jets this season? And Clancy is just fessing up to you that he's just grumpy.
But I mean, he's entitled to be grumpy.
He's excited for AG, and Muji still has, they still have much to prove though. So
I mean, I understand why people are upset that Aaron's gone. I understand that because I understand why people are pissed that Lazard is coming back. That I'm unfortunately one of the guys that I'm excited about Lazard to come back, because if this is going to be a heavy run offense, as they're saying, he's a guy that could block. He's a big body that's out there,
Well, what do you believe? Do you believe Aaron Glenn when he says that they're going to let Justin Fields be a quarterback this year? And that's kind of like a shot, right? Like it's kind of like a shot at the Steelers and the Bears for just thinking that Justin Fields was a pair of legs.
I mean, they proved it to him in Chicago. They didn't do anything until later on in regards to Fields.
Right.
The 3 years that he was over there, right, they were ranked in the 20s. And the second year where he ran for like 1,100 yards, they were second to last as the worst offensive line in the league itself. So, and then the Steelers, he was doing somewhat okay. He was throwing dimes that there is videos that are out there that he puts it in places where you're like, and we don't talk about it because everybody's just so on like all he can do is run. All he can do is run. I
Yeah.
don't know. We
But
got a
does he-
special guy in the back though. I
yeah.
see.
Does he take the jump that the Ravens quarterback did?
I hope so.
I hope so
think
too.
so.
Right. All
Afro,
right.
thoughts?
Afram,
This all
welcome.
comes down to coaching.
Yeah.
You know, you
Like
can
I
have
always
talent
say,
all you want. If you got bad coaching, you ain't go nowhere. And
do you think
know,
do you think bad players can turn into good players with good coaching?
I think they could improve. You know, you still got to have the tools, right? Hi, Armand. All right, you still have to have some tools, right?
Yeah.
As an athlete, you got to be, and you have to have something up here, right? So, but if you have good coaching, and the rest of the team is listening to the coaches, following the coaches, players that are behind will end up trying to catch up. You want solid coaching. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. We didn't have that. All we had, guys, is to bring guys in and thinking that they're just going to come in and do what they have to do.
Well, who did we retain in coaching? Wide receiver
Nobody.
coach,
Yeah, Jefferson. That was
right?
it.
No, wasn't there somebody? Weren't there other people that we hung on to as coaches? No,
Maybe the running back coach.
I don't know. I just know the wide receiver coach, Jefferson. Chat. Anyone know who we hung on to?
I'm pretty positive it's just Jefferson.
Just Jefferson.
Hey, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think it's just him. So Afram, did you catch
Yes.
the Antwan Staley?
Yeah, that was a good interview.
So what was your thoughts in regards to some of the nuggets that he threw in there?
No, he's there. We're not. So I'm sure we could have got a lot more information out of him. But you know, I think it's still early. You know, because they're down at the meetings. I think when they start getting the practices in and they're at the Florham Park and they're watching and they're listening, then you get a better feel of what's going on.
Yeah, we get a head start on practice because we have a new head coach. So we're in early. So that he said that starts Monday. I'm interested in seeing like what happens on Monday.
I'll see who shows up. I want to see who doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Something that he said that I really maybe I'm taking it out of context in regards to what he said, right? But he did say he kind of knew that Aaron Rodgers was gone after this year. Did you guys catch that?
No.
Yeah,
I don't think I was listening.
Yeah,
I was listening, but I didn't catch.
Yeah, he said that, and when he said that, I was like, "Oh snap! Was there really some turmoil in the locker rooms that's not really being brought out there because of that?"
I don't think so. I think I listened to Antwan on another interview, and he was talking about the financial sense of the deal.
Yeah.
Where the money really wasn't. He would have counted 60 like the following year, and it just wouldn't not have made sense as to where the Jets were going. So, I think it was just a monetary decision.
The window was 2 years. One went down in injury, and the second one was basically recovering from that injury. It just didn't pan out. You just can't hold on to him. There's no sense in keeping him for another year. Okay, you know, it's just what's going to happen in 2026 is what's going to happen. What's happening now, right?
100%.
Okay, so I mean, at some point,
rip the Band-Aid.
You have to. You have to.
Right.
You know, we always admire other teams how they get rid of the guys when early because that's why they're such a good a team, right? That's why they always in the playoffs. But when we do it, it's like why do we hold on to this person? You know?
Yeah, I mean, because we're Jet lovers and we're homers and we want to hold on to the people that we think are good and not necessarily. I mean, listen, I'm not a coach and I'm not in the building and I don't see them practice and whatever. So I only get to see them on the field when they play. So
that's the measuring stick. You know,
right. Exactly.
When you lose, everyone picks on every little innuendo what's going on. When you win, with the best management, best coaches, the best of everything, right?
So
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys, right? For Afram and for Snowball. You guys have been diehard Jet fans for a very long time, myself as well. But you guys have seen a lot. You guys have seen some good on there, right? Why is it that us as a fan base, in our terms, in Jets standard, that we tend to hold on to players and we give more loyalty than what the players actually do itself? Why is that?
Because
You want to go first, Afram? Go
yeah,
ahead.
to me, it's because we never usually have somebody for a long period of time. All right, we had Keyshawn at one time, number one pick. He was great, and then he wanted more money, or he wanted out. He wasn't that, didn't pan out. Went to Tampa Bay. Of course, he won. Right. When I first started, and you had guys stay forever because there's really the free agency wasn't as big back then, right? Plus, it was 12 rounds of draft. Also, I hope you didn't realize that, did you?
No, I had
Know
no
that?
idea.
It's 12 rounds of drafting.
Forever.
Yeah, and those guys didn't get paid shit either, so it really didn't make it. But they want some sense of identity, right? I got this star player, this and that. But you got to look at it the whole because we say we should hold on to our guys. I agree, but we don't say anything when the guy wants to go off free agency because he wants to see if he can get more money.
Mhm.
That's okay, right? So it's a business. It's a two-way street. You hold on to them, or you let them go, and you get someone new. Right now, because of the salary cap, we talk more about having that rookie contract, and then we worry about, now it's time to pay him, and now is being good at the draft cost you later? Yeah, because you get three guys in the draft, especially if you like when we got Garrett and Gardner and JJ, right?
And
Yep.
All the
Brees.
first round.
Well,
They're going to get
Brees
paid.
Brees was what, 34?
Yeah, Beast was also, but
Yeah.
this is
True.
this is what you got to live with. It's not like baseball where you could just keep signing guys. You can win, but
Deferred them to Bobby Bonilla type of contracts.
Yeah.
2035, my friend.
To 2035. Can you believe that? I still cannot believe
$1.1
that.
million a year.
Holy moly.
I personally think that we hang on to players as I don't think we hang on to players, but I think as fans we want to hang on to players because of the amount of pain that we've endured over the years. They're like the medicine. If they show a glimmer, if they flash, if they show a glimmer of hope, we're like, oh, we got to hang on to this guy because he's going to be our.
We
he's
never
gonna be our savior.
had. We also never had the back office. There he is.
Oh
We
Jesus!
never had the back
Look at
office
that.
have a long tenure either.
Yeah,
I got my Roy Rogers jersey on.
yeah. Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? Not New York.
No, definitely.
So
not.
Dan, so Dan, same question to you. I mean, why us as fans
A bunch of
hold-
sucker bitches.
hold more on to these players? And there's a reason why I'm asking everybody, and I'm gonna go back to it once Dan finished answering the question.
Why do we hold on to players?
Yeah, and they don't really have the loyalty like us Jets fans do, but we hold on to them. Like for example, there was a big amount of people
As a fan, Dan, not as a team, as a fan.
yeah, as a fan,
Mhm.
like Zach Wilson. Like people were wanting Zach Wilson back. They were like, he has it. We just got to do this. We got to get better coaching, right? Instead of being like, the dude sucks.
Right.
Get him out. Let him go somewhere else. Get whatever you could get back and recuperate from him.
I think honestly, you have like such an affinity towards a player. You kind of invest in the player. If you think about it, right? Like, who was Zach Wilson before that draft? He was a nobody. No one knew that he actually wore 11 in his freshman year at BYU. No one knew anything. But the moment that the Jets started with their whispers that we might get a quarterback at 2, we all started investing in trying to see where he's from. And you start drawing parallels. BYU, Steve Young, Jim McMahon, all this. And then you start making this fantasy in your head and you grip them and you can't let go. Then you start buying freaking paraphernalia like this jackass does. And
wait, you mean all that's crap back
all
there?
This wondrous thing that you can get for one like.
This right here too for no reason.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of, and I'm guilty of that too. I knew Zach Wilson sucked after year 2, but you pull for the guy. Case in point, when this guy went down week 1 against the Bills, right, 2 years ago. Enter Zach Wilson. The first thing I started thinking, this is maniacal thinking. I shouldn't be thinking like this, but I started thinking of Don Majkowski going down week 1 against the Bengals, 1992. Enter Brett Favre and the legend. That was me. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what? He finally has his mentor. He learned so much, even from 2 years before in the preseason, where he spent some time with his guy. It's going to click. And it didn't. And even on that off season, I let go. I said, all right, enough is enough. We got to go in a different direction. But yeah, people did not want to say farewell to Zach Wilson. But it's not only him. It's so many other players too. Like, this is going to sound silly, Afram. Jeff Lageman. I didn't want to lose him to the, what is that called? The expansion draft. I'm like, oh, that's 56, man. Long hair. Oh, that guy.
I was at that draft too, and the Marriott Marquis.
Oh my God.
Couldn't believe it.
Nobody could.
It was one of those drafts. It's like this one. It was just no primetime player. Right. It was just one of those. If you look at that draft and you see who was drafted after him, you'll see it was really, the talent wasn't as good as it was.
We drafted Bird, right? In that same draft.
Yeah.
I forget what number. The Jets always drafted high, so it's just.
I hope that stops. So I asked. So then the reasoning I'm asking that question.
What's the reason?
Mm-hmm. The reason I'm asking that question, right? This whole Breece Hall conversation, trading Breece Hall. Do we do it now? He's a second-round pick, right? What would be the return that you would want from Breece Hall to move on from him and potentially get another replacement? Because I'm on the board, I love Hall. I love Breece Hall. I think the guy is great. But taking my heart out of it and actually business-wise and thinking of it, if I could get a second-round pick for this guy,
take it.
Yeah.
Maybe a third.
Yep. I would too.
I think I'm taking it. I think I would jump on it. Your guys' thoughts, Snowball?
Would you take a third this year and a fourth next year?
Yes.
Yeah? Take a third and a fourth?
Yep.
I think I'd do a third and a fourth for him. Definitely.
Yeah. Also depends on how he does this year. If he does well this year, you can get it second.
Well, do you wait? Do you wait to see how he does this year?
I don't think you trade him. I don't think he's going anywhere at the draft.
I don't know. I don't know about that. You have a new regime here. Aaron Glenn is here. Anyone's on the table except for
they say that, but that's just you can't get rid of talent either on your first year.
You can't, but if you know that they're not going to be here next year, right? And you can
that's up to them.
That's up to them. Yeah, no. Let's take that, right? Let's take that narrative. It's up to them. And they say, all right, you know what? What if we can get a running back this year, something on the cheap, someone that will buy into our program, maybe a second or a third and a fourth for next year. And I have to also, since we're talking about this, I have to throw Quinnen Williams in there. Again, as much as I don't
You've been dying with that Quinnen Williams.
and I will, because it's too much money for a guy that only makes 5 sacks, 5.5. Like someone making Aaron Donald money, he's got to be a game wrecker. That's why I honestly think he may be one of those surprises in the draft, that he gets dealt to a team that is maybe a piece away from becoming a Super Bowl caliber team. Because how else are we going to pay our own, again, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson? We can't afford them. We can't, especially with this guy on the books. Like, I love Quinnen. I like that the guy's humble, nice guy. Maybe he makes food for like the family on his off day, whatever the case is. That's great. But dang, dude, that's too much money. Way too much. Senor Armand.
Your arch nemesis has just entered.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this question: What was the intention with bringing in Allen and Davis last year? Like, did we not trust Breece Hall? Were you planning for the future with Breece Hall, bringing these two running backs in? Like, I'm just adding fuel to the fire. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
You're 100% right.
I don't think they value the running back position anymore as what it used to be. But everybody goes back and says, but look what Saquon did. Saquon is a complete different conversation, and so is Derrick Henry, right? If you're going to put player and player side by side, those guys are way up here compared to Breece Hall. That's just my opinion in regards to that.
Can I raise my hand on this?
Dan, question?
Yes. When Bill Parcells took over, didn't we have a pretty good running back in Adrian Morrell? Wasn't he a fan favorite, number 29 out of West Virginia? He was a fan favorite. After 1 year, Parcells got him out of there.
Yeah.
In favor of Curtis Martin, of course. But still, huge difference.
Yeah, so
but
you get the better player.
But there was a plan in place. There's got to be something. I think that's where the narrative changes. Where what kind of culture are we trying to build at One Jets Drive? Are we trying to build the culture from the last regime with the old players, or are they kind of looking down, opening up the books and saying, this guy fits, this guy doesn't? Even though this guy's really good, he has 1 year left. What can we get for him in order to draft our guy? How can we pay the guys that are here that are superstars in Sauce and Garrett? How can we make this work? That's why Breece might be out. He might be in him and Quinnen. Again, I have no idea, but I'm just looking at past regimes.
If you're going to run heavy offense, you're going to need those running backs.
Yeah, we have many running backs.
But you could draft one this upcoming draft. They're saying that the running back class is really, really big this summer. Armand, your thoughts?
I've been bringing up Breece Hall possibly being traded since the start of the offseason.
Yes.
Because he's in the last year of his deal. Not many running backs get extended. You brought up Saquon. He didn't get extended from the Giants. Not once, but twice.
Right.
They chose Daniel Jones over him when they made the playoffs. And, this year they could have tagged him. And, we could blame Shane, the GM. But you know what? In the end, who has to give approval for contracts and stuff? The owner. If Mara really wanted to keep Saquon, he would have forced Shane's hand and said, give him a contract or tag him and keep him for the year instead of him going to Philly.
Is that the same owner that didn't listen to his head coach who said, let's get rid of Eli and draft Mahomes? Was that the same owner?
Yeah, it's the same owner.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I throw a
It's
possibility?
the same owner that chose Daniel Jones over Saquon. I'm just reiterating.
Hold that thought real quick, Dan. Real quick. Hold that thought. Phil, I see the smoke. I see the smoke coming out. Okay, I see it.
Hi, Phil. How are you?
Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you guys. No, there's no smoke. I mean, I think this is a really tough call, and I can understand everybody's opinion on it. For me, I don't think you're going to get the value for Breece Hall. I mean, I don't think you're getting a second. I really don't. He is in the last year of his contract. He was unimpressive last year. You know, he's had a major injury. I don't see why, with a good draft class, why would I, if I'm a team looking for a running back, why would I burn a second round pick on Brees Hall that I got to pay next year if he works out when I can pick up a guy this year for nothing? So I don't see us getting a second. And if you start talking about third and fourth round stuff, which I've heard is a very strong possibility, I'd rather run him this year, hope that we get the guy we had a couple of years ago. And I'm never a guy who worries about, oh man, but if we do that and then we, you know, and we don't want to pay him next year and we're going to lose him for nothing. Sometimes you lose guys for nothing. I'm not worrying about if I lost a fourth round pick.
I'd take a third or fourth rounder right now for Brees because he's in the last year of his deal. I mean, I was on.
What does that really mean? He's in the last year of his deal, so he's playing for a contract, right? Right.
Yes.
He's on the cheap this year. We got a chance that the guy can be a freaking superstar, right? He's had that.
We're not giving him an extension. With too many players, we got to extend.
I didn't say we give him. We don't have to give him an extension. We don't have to. You keep saying we have to pay him.
Just run him this year.
We don't. We can ride him like a fucking a work mule this year, and we don't have to pay him. Let somebody else pay him. And what are we losing? A third round pick. Okay.
That's actually I didn't even think about that. That's I mean, yeah.
You can tag him too, right?
You can tag him, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of it.
Of course you could tag him, but again, now you're going to pay, probably $12 million for him next year. Now, again, if he goes out and runs for 1,600 yards this year, yeah, okay, I'll tag him next year.
You're going to get more money next year too in the cap as well.
And the tags go up.
Honestly,
every time everybody talks about the cap goes up every year, and look at all this extra money we got. You signed 3 guys, all the cap's gone. So, to me, that's not a legit argument. The salary cap is $279 million. If you start just going position by position for the handful of guys you got to pay, like I'm a big believer in, you pick a handful of guys, and I mean a handful. It's like everybody was talking about, we got to sign this one, and we got to sign that one, and we got to sign. We don't have to sign freaking anybody. You got to make hard choices about the guys you feel you got to sign. And right now, there's only one guy, and that's Garrett Wilson. All right. You don't have to sign JJ.
Exactly.
And I make the same argument about JJ. He's playing for a contract this year. Okay. I would not pick up his 5th-year option. We don't know what we're going to get from him. Now, people are saying, yeah, but then he has a great year and then he's a free agent. Okay. I can bid. I can tag and trade. I'm not worried about it. Everybody says we got all these guys we got to pay. How are we going to pay them all? You pick one guy you got to pay, you pay. Another guy, you try and get him on a team-friendly deal if you can. A perfect example actually would be Sauce. All right? I'm not looking to give Sauce the bag like some people are. But I'll tell you what I would do. Instead of picking up his 5th-year option, if I can get him to take a 3-year deal, 10th in the league kind of money, I would do it. Right? He doesn't want to do it. People say, oh, if you don't pay him, he's going to hold out. Let him fucking hold out. It's you don't have to freaking pay everybody.
Do you think this year's okay? Go ahead, finish, and then I'm going to ask a question.
And you can't pay everybody. You got to pick the right guys to pay.
So my question is this: I think this year's draft plays a big role in future endeavors with key players. If we can prove that we can draft players and they can come in and produce right away, I think that plays into what Phil was just saying, right? With like Jermaine Johnson, do we pay him? Do we not pay him? Do we extend? Like, do we go after him? Do we keep him? Right. If you prove that you're capable of drafting impact players, then that makes the argument not to keep these certain people, not to pay them, and to let them go and explore free agency. Do you guys what are you guys' thoughts on this year's draft? Like, does that play a part in how comfortable you feel going forward?
Enormous, a huge, absolutely. That's going to be a huge indication of what kind of organization we have right now, spearheaded by the Mooch. You know what I mean? Like, what, in what direction are we going in the first round? No one has no idea. Nobody. And anything is a possibility. We can't exclude, I'm sorry, we can't exclude quarterback. We have no idea where they're going. We could be like, oh, Justin Fields is the guy.
Dart's not coming here, bro.
No. I'm not even saying Dart. I'm not even saying Dart. Even if Shador falls, I don't want that. I don't want it. But again, answering the question, let's say if we go Shador at 7 or Dart or quarterback, then I wouldn't feel comfortable moving forward unless, I think I said it before on another show, that if Pittsburgh calls us at 7 and says they want Dart, I hang up the phone and I draft Dart. I would do that because I trust them more than I trust the guys that won Jets Drive.
Hold
Based
on,
on what?
You just
Based
gave
on
away
Beth
the
Ross's
draft secret.
Hold on.
Huh?
Based on what?
Based on
like
what?
it or not, they didn't help develop Justin Fields. Got benched at 4-2. They didn't help develop Justin Fields, and he had more weapons in Pittsburgh last year than he does have on the current Jets roster.
I trust that owner. I trust that owner more than our front office. I trust Rooney more than anything.
The Steelers are not doing Steeler-like things the last couple of years. Okay, this ain't the old Steelers. This isn't the original Rooney. And Tomlin's on the hot seat. And while I understand what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, before we go down a rabbit hole about quarterbacks, let's everybody answer Snowball's question. All right, about you want to rephrase it or refresh that, Snowball.
I think I was just saying, based on this year's draft, how does that affect us, holding on to players in the future? Like, if we can prove that we can draft in a competent way, like, what do you think about, like, paying people, extending people, so on and so forth?
But you got to be drafting. Go ahead.
Go ahead, buddy. No, go ahead.
Right now, we're drafting for positions we lack in, right? Right tackle, tight end, safety, defensive tackle. If you have a core and the time has come, you do start doing like Philly does. They have drafted the guys who they're going to use to replace the guys they know they're going to go free agency. So they have an edge waiting to replace the guy that's going to go on free agency. So they have their depth to cover that spot. We're not there yet.
Well, let me ask you this, Afram. We have a gaping hole at right tackle. Right now. We do have the guy from the Steelers who is on the Patriots, and now he's come to us, Okorafor, and we draft like when I asked Antwan Staley, I said, if we draft Membu, who do you put in? And he goes, oh, well, it's basically Membu's position to lose. So, if Membu is a major contributor right off the bat, I mean, that for me would give me a lot of confidence in the regime that we have now. So continue to go. Continue to go.
But based on that, right now, this year's draft, the first 3 picks are going to have to be starters at this point, based 100%, on what we have.
100%. Right? I agree with that on that.
But we're not at the point where we have guys in depth that can take over for guys who are going on free agency. We're not there yet. But that's what we're hoping, right? When guys reach a point where their contract is high, where we're going to have to pay them based on the market value, we got to hope that we have someone who's a replacement to take its place. I think that the longest tenure position right now is going to be a quarterback, right? Quarterbacks seem to lie because they protect them like gold. All right. Then the offensive line, and then your weapons outside that, right? So that's how I look at it.
So let me ask this, because I want to piggyback off what Snowball is saying. I agree with you, Snowball, and I think this is I know a lot of people are not really like, oh, this is going to be like a make or break type of draft, which I don't think it really is. But I think this draft is super, super important for the future, what the regime is going to do in regards of a lot of the players that are going to walk, essentially, right? There's going to be those tough conversations that are going to be said. We can't pay you.
Right.
We've got your replacement already. If we go for some insane reason, the Raiders do not get Genty, and Genty is there. Now, I'm saying that because Genty's a good player, right? Regardless of what, even though the running back class this year is kind of deep and blah, blah, blah. We take him. What's your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, are we all like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that? I mean, that conversation of Brees maybe still staying, he moves to second, Allen third, and then Davis is crap out of luck, and we got those three-headed monsters right there. And Brees Hall, prove to me that you are truly that running back that people are saying that you're supposed to be, and take the number one spot back.
So if we go that route, I can guarantee you. And you know what? If he does this, the hell with him. We draft Genty at 7. Brees Hall will be the first one to say, I need a trade. And you know what? Trade those damaged goods. I'm out. Done. Get him out of there. It's whatever is best for the team long term. And offensive line, I'm all in. Playmaker on offense, I'm all in. Whether it's Genty, which I'm not a fan at drafting a running back that high, but if he has all the tools and will help this offensive scheme get to that next dynamic level with Fields at quarterback, who's very mobile, yeah, by all means. But Brees is gone. And fine, it is what it is. Unless they already have some sort of deal in place, if that happens, I can see the Jets trading Brees probably a 4th or a 5th. Because we got his replacement. We can't have that distraction on the team. Aaron Glenn will not have distractions on this team at all.
Afrin, Armand, Phil?
You go ahead.
I don't know how I feel. I'm probably not too thrilled because it's a running back in the first round. I get it. The Lions did it, but they had 2 first-round picks. They took him and they took the linebacker right after. So, like, unless you were gonna have a set of guts on you and trade up back into the first round for wide receiver, for tight end, for offensive line, like, I don't see it.
Your mic is bad.
Yeah,
Brees Hall would be out, and like Dan said,
yeah, I don't know what's happening with Armand. Yeah, okay, he dropped out.
He
right.
He was the one with the static.
Yeah, it wasn't you.
Okay.
I'm like unplugging this and doing sound checks.
You're just making noise in the background. That's all.
Phil, you were about to say something.
Yeah, that's okay. By the way, do I sound all right?
You got a little pop in your mic too, but that's okay.
Yeah, like I noticed the last time I talked to you guys when I watched it later, I sounded kind of fuzzy.
Yeah, you got a little bit of a pop in there.
A little static.
Okay.
You're always popping, Phil, so it's expected.
All right, so I have a very, very different approach of almost anybody that I've heard talk about this. I get, the shiny toy. I get it. First and foremost, I would never in a million years draft a running back this year. I just wouldn't do that. Not in the first round. Not at all. And what I'm really hoping, to be honest, is that there's a great player available, and there should be at least one. But I'm hoping it's one of the guys that everybody wants, whether it's Sanders or Genty or whatever. And I'm hoping my phone rings and I can move back. All right, because the only 2 guys or 2 positions, I'll say, is either a right tackle or a catcher of the football. Those are the 2 positions that I would look at, unless something crazy happens, like Abdul Carter's available. All right, but that, that's not going to happen. So in the real world, whether it's Tet or it's Warren or Membu, I can understand any one of those picks. I really can. But I also feel like we could probably sign a veteran like Lockert or Allen or Boyd to pair up this year with Wilson.
What about Cooper?
I wouldn't want Cooper for two reasons. He's the most expensive of the bunch, and the ego can be a problem. And I don't want an ego guy on this team right now. I don't ever want one, but I really don't want one right now. Right. And I also don't want any, listen, right now Wilson is the clear number one. I don't want another guy coming in that I'm the number one now. You know what I mean? So I would, and again, this is just my opinion. I hear a lot of people that feel differently, and I'm not going to say that they're wrong. All right. If they signed Cooper, listen, my feeling about this team since the day they moved on to Glenn has been, I'm going to trust what they do. I'm going to hope for the best. If they'd have kept, I didn't want them to bring back Rodgers or Devontae Adams, but if they had, I'd have been rooting for them. That's just how I am. All right. But my feeling is, this is a team right now that has a lot of holes. I would much rather move back a little bit and pick up another second-round pick to try and fill some of those holes. Mm-hmm. I'm still going to get a good first-round player, and I got plenty of holes that I can fill with that first-round player. And last thing real quick, I think you can make this a very good, maybe a top 10 defense with just a couple of real good picks. This offense, unless you get really lucky, and a lot goes right, I don't think this is going to be a dynamic offense no matter what you do. But I do think with a good offensive line and a good running back room and a mobile quarterback, you can have a good enough offense to win if you got a good defense. So honestly, man, I'm looking at picking up, a Graham, a great edge rusher, somebody that makes my defense way better immediately with that first pick. That's my thinking, because I think this defense could be really good with a couple of guys.
Yep. How far back you going?
Well,
what's your limit from 7?
I mean, the furthest I could go back, I think, would be 21 with the Steelers, because if they call me and want a quarterback, I'm willing to go back to 21. I think.
How much? What are you getting for it?
Well,
that's a big jump, Phil. That's a big jump.
Well, exactly, yeah. And that's why I'm saying it's going to depend on what they offer me. It's going to depend on what they offer me.
Phil, you know what I mean? If they do that jump, the biggest dangling carrot there would be their next year's first. It has to be part of it. It has to. And if that's the case,
right,
we don't need a second rounder this year. That first rounder for next year, oh my goodness, that can turn into something extremely special. Wow. Yeah, I would. And then at that point, let the cards fall where they may, man.
Right.
I'm all for
that. We could go 10, we could go 14. There's definitely different options. He asked me what's the furthest I would go. I wouldn't want to go back any further than that. And I do think Pittsburgh, and you were just talking about Pittsburgh, trusted Pittsburgh. Dude, I have been the guy saying, man, the Steelers are amazing. They are always good. I give them so much credit. I'm right there with you. But starting last year with the quarterback carousel thing, and now this whole stupid crap with Rodgers, I don't know, man. The Steelers ain't doing Steelers stuff right now.
They haven't drafted a good quarterback since Roethlisberger.
Exactly. They have not, and they haven't.
And that wasn't Tomlin's pick. He inherited Roethlisberger.
So I agree. For me, it is that Pittsburgh, because I think with that Pittsburgh, if Sanders is there, I believe that's the guy they go after. My opinion, right? Pittsburgh. And we get a first in regards. At that point, you're probably looking at maybe a linebacker around there, because then comes third, and Ozzie is there for us, I believe, the Boston College guy, to potentially be able to. But look, we got somebody else here that is dying to talk to us real quick. What's going on, Connor?
How you guys doing?
So
How you guys doing?
There goes the neighborhood.
So Connor, so you heard everything we just said. right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you did, but
About Dart and them, yeah.
no, Dart.
Quarterback, Pittsburgh quarterback, whatever.
Yeah. I'm a hell no to Dart.
Oh no! You're talking about Pittsburgh trying to trade up, like come up.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and us potentially, what would be the comp, right? For me, I think it's because they don't have a second this year, right? So I would want a third potentially from this year, a first for next year as well.
Yeah, I just don't want to trade back that far. I'd rather just stick and pick at 7. As someone who, I wrote an article about this earlier today. I put it in my mock draft app, my first mock draft actually. People, the Breece Hall trade rumor starting to heat up. You guys know some of you know where I stand probably on Breece Hall in the sense of at the right price, I would be okay dealing him. In my mock, I had us trading him to Denver in exchange for the 85th overall pick this year. So a third, kind of middle of the road, third round pick. And I had the Jets taking Genty at 7. And I know a lot of people might be opposed to that off the start, but this is someone who forced 152 missed tackles last year, had almost 2,000 yards after contact, someone who's a bruiser, that small, compact build, but also has the elusiveness to get by. People dismiss the idea right away because, running back in the first round. But let's keep in mind, this team isn't in the Aaron Rodgers win now 2-year window where you need to get the guy who you're going to plug in and is going to be the win now piece. Best player available, I think, is where the Jets are really going to look to go. And I think Ashton Genty fits that bill for this team. So Genty, especially after if you were to trade Breece, which I did in this scenario, I would be more than happy to draft Genty with the 7th overall pick. He's one of few generational talents in this year's draft class. And let's not forget, I know a lot of people are going to mention Detroit and what they did with Sewell. 2023 NFL draft with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery under contract. That doesn't matter. They take a running back with the 13th overall pick. Aaron Glenn doesn't value premium positions. I mean, another one, Jack Campbell in the first round. He values premium football players, and that's what you get in Ashton Genty.
And exactly. I mean, that's why I was bringing that up. I don't think he makes it past Oakland, if I'm being very honest. I think he goes there.
Yeah.
Genty does, and does the reasoning. Now, for me, even though everything I'm saying is a lot of it's very hypothetical, we're just throwing ideas that are out there, I'm still have been on the board of trading back and trying to get more. It has to make sense, especially if Sanders is dropping as they continue. But can you imagine if Abdul Carter drops because of
happen?
It can't.
Dude, I'm just saying, but imagine. Yeah. Are you running? Connor, are you running up there to the podium and saying with the 7th pick of the 2025 New York Jets draft, select Penn State, Abdul Carter?
Yeah, I probably would. I like Carter. I said this earlier. There's solid prospects in this year. Carter's number 2 player for me overall in this draft class. I have Hunter 1, Carter 2, Genty 3. That's my top 3 players. Those are my top 3 players in this year's draft. I like Abdul Carter a lot. It's just you see, he's a solid player, but he's coming off this foot injury. He won a lot with his speed and explosiveness. How is that going to translate to the NFL level? Tyler Warren's a great player, but he just broke out in his 5th season. His blocking technique could use some work. There's always that but in this year's draft with all these prospects. Just goes to show there's no perfect prospect, really, unlike last year where you had the Joe Waltz, the J.C. Lathams, the Romo Dunzes, the Malik Neighbors of the world. So a bit of a long-winded answer, but yes, I would take Carter. I just don't think it would be much of a surefire thing for me compared to everyone else, just because I think Carter's going to be a very, very good football player at the NFL level. I just don't think he's going to be one of the greatest edge rushers of all time and is going to be wearing a gold jacket like a lot of people think.
I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just putting out the 7-minute warning.
7-minute warning.
7 minutes.
Yeah, but could he be the replacement for JJ of the just in case? What if JJ is not the JJ that we are anointing him to be and whatnot? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's just so much stuff that's going on because I honestly feel like the Jets are they've put us in a really good position that I don't think we've had in a long time to where we could go multiple different routes, and I could see that reasoning behind it. The Genty, I could see the Genty happening. You know, I know a lot of people don't like it. They're not going to, and they're entitled to their opinion, as you should say it, right? But, dude, if he's there, and we're all talking about Breece Hall potentially, you know, going, and Genty and Allen, I'll take it, man, because Connor, you said it. The vision that comes along with Breece Hall, it's the truth, man. There's holes, and he's missing them. He's missing them.
He's not even breaking tackles anymore. Like I went back and I watched a lot of Breece Hall tape this past season just to kind of. I watched him and Garrett a lot, and love Garrett to death. But I mean, he was a little overrated last season. I'm going to call it how it is. I don't think his play over the past 4 years has warranted the Amon-Ra St. Brown deal for 120. Love Garrett, my favorite Jet on the team. I just don't know today if I'm comfortable giving him 4 years, $120 million. But Breece Hall's the main one who stuck out to me. The fact that the vision, like I've spoken about many times, these big holes he's missing, the knee injuries, the Achilles injury, the ACL injury, and the knee injury he suffered during his sophomore campaign, it's hindered his speed. One of the main things was his ability to boom, get the ball, hit the hole hard, accelerate. We're not seeing that to the same pedigree from Hall. We didn't see it last season. Also, you know, his ability to hit home run plays is starting to dwindle. Like you see him, you know, something that would be a routine, you know, tackle break for him. He's getting caught up and he's diving and he's only getting 2 extra yards from it because he's caught up at the line. Just these little things that equate to a lot of missed yards from Breece Hall. And one more quick thing here before I hop off in a second. You mentioned Johnny trying to find a replacement for Jermaine Johnson if he's not at his best. You can get that in the 3rd round instead of the 1st round with Carter. That's Josiah Stewart from Michigan, who's just pretty much you want to take him at 73. Cool. He's going to do nothing for you against the run, but he's going to get you 10 sacks a season. So you want to find a pure pass rusher to replace JJ. That's who I'd go with.
Now, Connor, I have a question because you brought up a really interesting point of the draft class right now that, you know, you have Warren, you know, breaking out in his 5th season, whatnot. I think that's what gives more credence on trading back in the scenario of with Pittsburgh. Hear me out here. So if Pittsburgh trades all the way up and drafts like Dart or whoever the case is, we kind of have a feeling that they're not going to be very good this year. So with that being said, we may by chance have a top 3 pick next year. So I think it can't be too far-fetched in the event, let's say Pittsburgh does call us and says, look, we'll give you this year's first, where we're at right now, and we'll give you next year's. I think that's something that the Jets have to consider. Because, again, there's no home run kind of guy right now, even in the top 10, except for Carter. I like Carter a lot. Genty, I'm going to agree to disagree with that because I don't want a running back at 7. Maybe the guy is good, whatnot. But if Pittsburgh calls us and says, you know what, we'll pick swap, I'll give you a first next year. That to me is a no-brainer. You say, you know what, sign on the dotted line. Let's go full throttle.
I would be open to it, Dan. I just don't know if it's a no-brainer sliding that far back in the order. And I will say this, I can tell you right now, their pick next year at worst is going to be a top 15 pick. Let's not forget here, even if Jackson Dart blows up in Pittsburgh, it really doesn't matter. Mike Tomlin has been with this team for nearly 2 decades, and he's never been the head coach of a losing football team. This is someone who's, you know, made Duck Hodges look like somewhat of a competent quarterback. Same goes for guys like Kenny Pickett, even was able to facilitate an offense around a guy like Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, who we hope is great, but is yet to solidify himself as a top 15 starter when you really think about it across his NFL career. So I don't think the pick will be that high next year. And you have to consider everything. I just don't know if that offer comes in. I'm like, boom, all right, I'm all in. Let's slide down to pick 21 and take Kenneth Grant, who's 337 pounds and is just going to stop the run.
To be clear, the question was, when we were talking about trading back potentially, how far back would you go? And I said the furthest I would go would be 21. Just so you know, like that's where the whole Pittsburgh thing came in. You know, there was plenty of other conversation, and you know, I don't want to repeat everything that was said earlier, but I agree that with Dan that I understand how good Genty might be. I think with the holes this team has, I can't justify taking a running back this year. I think that if you look at the holes that we have and the team that we have, if we can pick up a veteran wide receiver to pair up, a veteran route runner, a guy like a Lockett, just to get us through this year with Wilson. We're going to obviously draft at least one or two pass catchers in the draft. I would rather try and make this defense with a couple of really good picks this year. We can be like a top 10 defense, I believe. I think that's possible.
Yeah.
Under the tutelage of Glenn, with a couple of home run hitters, a defensive lineman and a pass rusher, this can be a really good defense. With a mobile quarterback, a good running back room, you're going to pick up a wide receiver. You got Garrett Wilson, let's say a Lockett or something like that. I think you can go into this year, especially if you play, ball control offense and try and keep it low scoring. This team's not going to the Super Bowl. I don't care if we have the best draft in history. All right. So let's go win 10 games and be ready for next year.
Hell yeah.
And have a defense that this year can be exceptional. And then we'll go work on the other side of the ball next year. You can't do everything all at once, and you can't pay everybody either. You got to make tough decisions about who you're going to keep and who you're going to pay every year.
Well, you said it there first. This team isn't going to the Super Bowl, so you might as well then, in that scenario, take the best player available on the board, and I think there's a strong chance that is Ashton Genty. Like I mentioned earlier there, it doesn't matter. Honestly, this is my vision. This is what I think Aaron Glenn thinks as well. I don't care what position you play. I think it's all about valuing premium football players over premium positions. And this is someone who I do believe could be wearing a gold jacket in about 35 years. Ashton Genty is someone I think who's going to have a lot of success in this league. And hey, I would take someone who I think could be a Hall of Fame running back, although it is not the biggest position of need for this team right now, over someone who's going to be a top 10 defensive tackle for you over the next 7 years and kind of be like a Quinnen Williams. For example, what I'm trying to hint at is I would take a guy like Ashton Genty over a guy like Quinnen Williams. And I don't care about the position. Obviously, defensive tackle is viewed as a way higher premium position. I would just rather take the guy I think is the best player available on the board and gives you a player you can kind of build around. I think Ashton Genty is a cornerstone player.
I understand what you're saying, but putting a gold jacket on a guy who's never taken a snap in the NFL is a hell of a stretch, kid. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. Now, can I just throw a little controversy in this here? I know the time is up and whatnot. Why do we watch the Jets every year? Like when I hear, we're not going to win the Super Bowl, we're not going to go there. Why watch? Why? Hold on one second. In 2009, we thought that the Jets were going to go into the AFC Championship game in 2009? No. 1998. Yes. We really thought that was going to happen. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I might be the anomaly. Every freaking year when I watch this beautiful product, I think right away we're winning the Super Bowl. Until we're mathematically out, that's it. I watch it every Sunday. We're winning the chip. We're going to win it. And then at the end of the day, after freaking 8-9 weeks, the only chips I'm eating is the one that's tacking on 20 pounds around my waist. But I'm sorry. I can't.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And let me tell you, in 98, I didn't think that team was going to the Super Bowl. I thought they were going to be good. All right. And as the season went on, I started seeing them as pretty damn special. But, they started like 2-3, I think they were.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you never know. And I say this, Johnny knows, I say it all the time. Man, you don't know. All right. Unknown guys become known guys out of nowhere. It happens. Right. So
exactly.
When I say we're not winning the Super Bowl, what I'm saying is I can't look at a team right now with at least 5 or 6 pretty gaping holes. Yeah. And think I'm going to hit a home run at every position, and I'm going to go win a Super Bowl.
We're not expected to win,
right? And I can't, in good conscience, take a running back at number 7 with the team in the state that it's in right now. He could be Barry frickin' Sanders. Right. I don't see that as a wise choice. And you know what? Running backs, man. Running backs get hurt. Running backs turn out to be, Brees Hall looked pretty fucking good a couple years ago. Now we're looking at this guy wants to draft him for the 85th pick in the draft, right? He wants to trade him. All right. 2 years ago, he might have been saying Brees Hall's going to wear a fucking gold jacket.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's wrap it up on that thought then. Okay.
Yep.
So Phil is not taking a running back at 7, but at 7, if you can't trade back, Phil, who are you taking?
I mean, obviously, you got to know who's going to be available. But assuming that, obviously, Hunter and what's his name, the linebacker Carter, assuming that the couple of gems are gone,
right?
I reject the premise that I won't be able to trade back because there'll be somebody who's there that somebody else wants. All right, but gun to my head.
Yeah.
Gun to my head, I'm probably going to take Member, but again, I think we can plug in a right tackle again for this year. We don't know, if we're going to pick up a guy in the later rounds that might be. All right, we got what's his name, Connor
Rogers.
No, the what's his name? He's been on the team for like the last couple of years as a swing tackle.
McDermott.
No, Carter. Connor?
Oh, Carter Warren.
Carter Warren. Okay. Again, am I saying that this is our future right tackle? No. But between Ofa, whatever the fuck, and him, all right, all right, we've got a decent offensive line. We had the worst fucking offensive line coaching in the league last year. Can we get through this year without burning number 7 on a right tackle? Can we pick a right tackle in a later round?
Yes.
I want to trade that pick in the worst freaking way.
Yep.
Pick up another 2nd round pick this year, or a first next year, or a first and a third or something. That's what I really want to do with that pick, because I don't think there's anybody going to be there that I'm going to feel like I can't pass up on this guy.
All right. So Phil is trading back. Dan, what are you doing, 7?
JD. And I'm not talking about JD Vance. I'm going Jackson Dart. I'm going Jackson Dart. You can't go anywhere in this league without a freaking quarterback. If he's there, please get him. Not only that, he's going to be wearing number 2, so I could recycle this trash of Wilson jersey that I have there. I could just put a nameplate on it like I did with this freaking thing. So, yeah, that's me. Jackson Dart is the pick at 7. Let's get going. And the best part is you don't have to trot him out there. You could develop a quarterback the right way, as we did with Chad Pennington. He rides the pine. You allow Justin Fields to do his thing, hopefully win some games slowly but surely. Maybe you trot him out there week 8, week 9, and I'm good. I'm okay with Jackson Dart.
All right.
And the first time in NFL history, the GM of the New York Jets has been fired. Ephraim, your thoughts?
Right after the draft.
Right after the draft.
Immediately after the card set in.
After the first pick in the draft.
I'd like Tyler Warren, but I just got this feeling they're going to go right tackle first to solidify the line if they're going to do run heavy, and then try to grab a right tackle in the later rounds, even the 2nd round. I don't even think Dart even makes the 1st round in this draft.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't. I think if he's going to fall, a lot of these guys are going to fall.
The same thing was said of Bo Nix and Michael Penix last year. Exactly those 2 players with
different caliber.
Yeah, now we say that. Yeah,
different. There was.
Come on, man. Like, come
they're
on.
not talking about that.
It's like 2020. Like, no, last year, you remember when we did the mock draft, Penix was like in the 2nd round, and whenever I said that he might go in the 1st, they're like, this guy's he's delusional. Jackson's definitely. There's got to be
Jackson was picked to like 4th or 5th round. Now you're taking him back to the 1st.
Just to let you guys know, if you guys want to look and watch a really great mock draft. Look about, I think 2 weeks ago at the New York Jets afterburners
Crazy.
of us doing the first mock draft. Guys,
Yeah.
Wow.
Afram, Phil,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys coming on and everything. We're gonna come right back next week. Well, not next week,
Oh,
the
next
week
week,
after
good.
that, because I'm gonna be up in New York, and Dan, we better.
Oh
we better see
yeah.
you.
Text me,
So-
man. Let's do it.
I'm gonna just miss you, Johnny. I'm going up on Saturday the 12th to see my daughter in Asbury Park.
Up in New York.
Yeah, well, I'll be in New Jersey. I'll be in Jersey. I'll be seeing her on Saturday and Sunday. So you're going to be in the city that weekend, right?
The
I'm
11th.
gonna be on Long Island. So and then Saturday, we'll be.
Yeah, I'm going up on I'll be there the 11th, Friday night, the 11th, and I'm going to stay with her for the weekend.
Okay.
That's when you're going to be there, right?
Well,
Yep, I leave-
if you're coming in at night, hang out with us in the city.
Yeah, we might be able to catch you. So I'll talk to you and I'll text you. Dan, where can everybody catch you?
At Jets Afterburners podcast, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. We're on every Thursday night, Wednesday night sometimes, or whenever. But thanks, man. Thanks so much for having
Good
us
to see
on.
you, Dan. Good
Fun
to see
coming
you,
in.
man.
Pleasure, Phil.
Yeah,
Afram,
guys,
Snowball.
always a pleasure.
See you.
Afram, like I've always said, Afram is the only guy that can fix the New York Jets.
Yes.
Let it be known, okay? Afram, always a pleasure.
Afram's
Phil,
so calm, too. He
Thank
is
you
so
so
calm.
much. He really is.
Yep.
Dan, you're the man. I'll hit you up for next for sure. I'll text you in a second anyway.
Text me
just
up,
to
all right?
know that. So,
Friday.
Appreciate
Yeah.
you, brother.
We got to get together.
Likewise.
All right, man.
And now Snowball,
right.
is
Yeah.
you and I left.
That's it. What are we doing? What we want to do at 7?
Yes.
I think we just go for drinks at 7. That's it.
Agree with you.
That's it.
100%. Or we just trade back, whichever one
Yeah.
works for us.
Well,
you
I
know,
think
so.
if we can trade back, but I don't want to trade back like maybe like 3 spots, if possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to end the stream now because there's things that we got to do. So what are you saying? That's it.
This is trade back scenario for me. Let's just trade back. And with that being said, this has been Jets
Worldwide, wide. No outro. We're just outie. See ya.
out. Peace.